County Public School Board of Education Monthly Board of Ed Meeting. I'd like to call the Board of Education to order, please. First item on the agenda, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
76 cents in his pocket.
Did I miss something, Mr.? No, you got it. Oh, yes, so me and on. All right, so the first item on the agenda is I need a motion to adopt the agenda. Before we make a motion to adopt the agenda, I need to, thank you, Ms. Lindsay. I need to make a motion to amend the agenda. And I'd like to make that amendment on section 8, which is a business item. We'll call it 4, which require action. We will be talking about the superintendent's contract. So can I get a motion to amend the agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Mr. Dunn, seconded by Dr. Washington. Questions or discussions? Hearing none, Madam Board Clerk, roll call, please.
Do we still need roll call? All right.
Well, it's all right, we'll just go through roll call.
Dr. Chavez,
Yes.
Dean Edwards,
Yes.
Franklin Williams,
Yes.
Chris Bishop,
Yes.
Mike Cotton.
Yes.
Rick Keefe,
Yes.
Zach Wright,
Yes.
Dr. Washington.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is recognition. Oh. Man, oh, we didn't, yeah, I'm sorry. I need a motion now to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Been probably moved by Mr. Lamb. Second by Dr. Davis. Did I say that right? Dr. Davis, sounds got a ring to it. Great. Question or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no? Ayes carried. Recognition.
So speaking of Dr. Chavis, Nash Board of Education member Dr. Donovan Chavis received her EDD in leadership and professional practice on August 4, 2022 from Trevecca Nazarene University in Nashville, Tennessee. We are so proud of her and this accomplishment. Congratulations. Yeah. Next recognition, Amy Worrell nominated for Outperformance and Excellence. We would like to announce that Amy Worrell has been selected as Nash County's elementary outstanding math teacher. The importance of mathematics instruction in our schools cannot be overestimated. To emphasize this reality, the North Carolina Council of Teachers of Mathematics and the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction strive to recognize and reward elementary school teachers who exemplify mathematics teaching excellence by nurturing students' enthusiasm for mathematics through everyday classroom experiences. This recognition is for those teachers who succeed in motivating students to excel in mathematics. Congratulations. Oh. So each year, the Rocky Mount Telegram hosts a Reader's Choice Award contest. People are asked to vote for their favorites in numerous categories. Awards are made as gold being first, silver being second, and bronze being third. Nash County Public Schools is honored to have winners from the best teacher and the best principal categories, Please come forward when I call your name. Remain standing up front for a group picture. Allison Williams, principal of Red Oak Elementary. Ms. Williams is the bronze winner in the best principal category. Quentin Mangano, principal of Nashville Elementary. Mr. Mangano is the silver winner in the best principal category. And Ms. Summer Delbridge, teacher at Nashville Elementary. Ms. Delbridge is the gold winner in the best teacher category. Congratulations. All right, Mr. Shaw with the run.
You know, it's exciting to see all those awards and recognitions. You know, it's great seeing you guys, what you guys do. I'm so excited about the start of the school year and what's going on and all our folks, what they're accomplishing. Our next item on the agenda is community partnership. With that said, I thought we would do something a little bit different at the start of the school year. We will highlight our own. Mr. Daza, if you would come forth, please. Tell us who was.
Oh, wow.
Chairman Sharp, Dr. Ellis, Nash County Board members, and Nash County Public Schools staff. On behalf of the English as the second language in migrant education departments, I wish to say good evening and extend greetings to all of you. The Nash County Public School System has a long and proud history of supporting two very important groups of students. Those two groups are students with limited English proficiency and students of migrant families. Through your continual encouragement and support, the ESL department and the Migrant Education Department both provide appropriate educational services that address the specialized needs of these students. Our two departments work both separately and together in order to assist students to overcome educational disruption, cultural and language barriers, social isolation, and other factors that may inhibit their ability to succeed in school. It is our goal to not only assist our students to do well in school, but also to prepare them to make a successful transition to post-secondary education or employment opportunities. Both programs have a vision of creating a nurturing and accepting environment for multilingual learners. To fulfill this vision, we are dedicated to providing equal access to the school curriculum and bridge language and cultural barriers that may exist between the home and the school. 28 countries, 22 languages are represented in Nash County Public Schools. Our multilingual and migrant education students bring many pieces of their home culture to our classrooms. These unique perspectives, in combination with language acquisition, are an opportunity for them to enrich our classroom now and to also succeed later in life. September has arrived, and September 15 kicks off Hispanic Heritage Month. In order to honor those of Hispanic heritage who have a great impact on our students and families, we would like to recognize the following individuals. Mrs. Maria Raimundo, parent liaison for Nash County Public Schools. Mrs. Anabel Gonzalez, the EL PAC president and mother of 2 students at Early College and Benvenue Elementary. Mrs. Rosalba Rodriguez, mother of a Northern Nash student, Northern Nash High student. Mrs. Olendi Carrera, mother of a couple of students at Early College. Mrs. Ana Raimundo, instructional assistant at Bailey Elementary. Mrs. Mariah Richardson, mother of a Southern Nash Middle School student. And Mrs. Jessie Martinez, mother of Rocky Mountain High and Edwards Middle. These parents communicate and support other multilingual families and help us to share our district vision and expectations. Thank you.
Daza and your family, our family, we truly thank you for what you do. Your work has not gone unnoticed. It has been extraordinary. So I thank you on behalf of the Nash County Board of Education. Outstanding job. Our next item on the agenda is public input. We have 2 people that signed up for public input. When I call your name, please, if you would please come forth. The first one is Miss Kathy Hawk.
Hey, don't start my time yet. That issue at Englewood, I picked her up today. The wire is down to here. I called.
Cable line
He's-
is down.
Well, yesterday, the cable, long story, I had an accident in the parking lot because I saw the wire and I panicked and everyone's going, nobody saw the wire. It was this high yesterday. Today it was this high. So I called Suddenlink again. I said, somebody gets hurt. Somebody's in trouble. So he said he escalated the work order and it would be taken care of today. So we'll see. Okay, I'm ready. I want to bring 3 things to your attention. Over the summer, I was told by a teacher that I would be shocked if I saw how much fruit was thrown away at the lunches. She said that the oranges are like b-balls practice, unpeeled, they just throw them in the trash. She said the food and the fruit, but the whole fruit is just right in the trash. I'm thinking, isn't there a way to give these kids fruit? They're not going to peel it. They're not allowed knives to peel it, and a lot of them won't peel it. You know, fruit cups, something. It just, there's a lot of food being wasted in all of our schools. And that's a shame. I know last year, the pizza was cold and the milk was warm. But I'm hoping this year's meals are better and at the temperatures they should be at. And time will tell. Next thing is dress code. I love Rocky Mount Middle School's dress code. Do you guys know what it is? Is everyone aware of it? The kids must wear polo shirts, navy, gray, black, and white, the 3 button up. They must wear khaki, black or blue pants, skirt, skirts, no jeans. The dress code is wonderful there, as you know. Kids can be very mean to other kids, and having a uniform policy cuts down on a lot of the bullying of kids not having the right clothes. Also, it's cheaper for us parents to buy 3 to 4 uniforms instead of a ton of, clothes. I also admire Mr. Dupree for doing this, and I would ask that other middle school principals follow his lead. I've been told it's up to the principals. I don't know. Is that true? I don't know. But if it was up to me, all the middle schools would have the dress code for grades 6, 7, and 8. I think that's a wonderful thing they're doing there. Another thing I want to talk about, and I debated whether I wanted to because nobody wants to talk about this. I had to do a safety survey yesterday with my 6th grader. Do you feel safe in the schools? Blah, blah. And I was taking them to school this morning. I said, if anything would ever happen with all the shootings, everything we have in our county, what would you do if someone came in? I don't know. And I said, play dead. If it ever comes to that, you hate to say it, play dead. And she says to me, in front of him? I thought, oh God, you're clueless. Do the teachers go with the kids and help tell them what to happen, to do in case anything ever happens like this? I'm sure they're instructed to shut the doors, lock down. But if a shooter ever got into the rooms, do we tell the kids to play dead? Do we tell them to fight back, hide in a closet? You guys, it's never talked about. And she had no clue what to do. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next person on the list, I don't see him in the room, but I will call the name Mary Arrington. That concludes our public input. Next item is item 7, consent agenda, Dr. LaShonda Washington.
There is one item on the consent agenda for information only, report of settlement agreement.
Okay. There's nothing else on the consent agenda. We'll move down to business items, unit number 8, donations.
Dear board members, please accept this request for the following donation. Tar River Academy received the following donation. Red Oak Baptist Church donated $500 to be used for classroom decor.
Need a motion?
I must say we accept the donation that's presented.
Moved by Dr. Washington, seconded by Dr. Chavis. Question or discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye, please. Any opposition? Ayes carried. Next item on the agenda is personnel recommendation, Ms. Sheila Wallace.
Chairman Sharp, Vice Chair Dr. Washington, and present board members, good evening. The personnel report has been presented and reviewed. On behalf of Superintendent Ellis, your approval of the personnel report is requested.
May I get a motion, please?
Motion to accept the personnel report.
It's been properly moved by Mr. Lamb, seconded by Dr. Washington. Questions or discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Ayes carried. Next item, personnel recommendation information only, Dr. Washington.
No problem. No approval is necessary.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, next item on the agenda is item 10.
You got 8.
Yeah, I was gonna see if Dr. Ellis was paying attention to that one. Just gonna shoot. The next item number 9 is a DPI comprehensive needs assessment, Dr. Ellis. for information only.
In there. Yeah, 8.4.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. So I need, the board had a discussion with, Dr. Ellis regarding his contract. The board approved the extension of Dr. Ellis' contract by 4 years. So his contract will, resume June 30th, 2023, and then carry through June 30th, 2026.
I'll make a motion.
Do we need a motion on that, Liz, or we?
Need a motion to approve the amendments to this contract. So you listed one of the amendments.
Okay, so I need the motion to amend that contract.
Yeah, say what they want.
The other.
Okay, the first one is to amend the contract for Dr. Ellis for
Extend.
extension. So I think we got a motion by,
Right. You can go ahead.
But you gotta do the other one also, Bill.
we gonna do it individually or all together?
So what I would do is talk about the two different ways that we're amending the contract and then have the board vote on amending the contract.
Okay, so what we did is we extended his contract for 4 years. And the second side of, we actually gave him a pay increases, was going up to 195 for the year, 195,000 a year. So I need a motion to approve that.
Second.
It's been probably moved by Mr. Bissett, second by Dr. Washington. Any questions or discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any oppositions? No opposition. The motion is carried. Next item, we can move to item number 9.
So I'm gonna invite Dr. Martin to come up here at this time from DPI. Dr. Martin and her team, last year around this time, we started a comprehensive needs assessment that we wanted every school to take part in, which that was a big undertaking for DPI, and we appreciate them doing that. But what we've done is each school's had a comprehensive needs assessment where DPI's team has met individually with their leadership teams, where we've gone over action steps to make us better. And now we're going to present the district plan for central office level and for us and some of our action steps. So Dr. Martin, first, I just want to thank you for doing that because that was a big task. You've been here basically all last year in the summer. So first, we thank you for that. And it helps where we get a different set of eyes that kind of look at what we're doing to make sure we're in the right direction. So I'll give it to you.
Okay, first I'd like to say good evening to everyone. I am Cynthia Martin, Senior Director of District and Regional Support at the Department of Public Instruction. I'm here today with my colleague, Ms. Jamie Stroud, who is a diagnostic liaison within District and Regional Support. Our approach to school turnaround and school transformation is based on a partnership with the district. The comprehensive needs assessment is a tool we use to level set. It influences school improvement and strategic planning. We collect data. That data guides us to root causes, which leads us to action planning. The rubric we use, which is on the screen right now, is based on research on effective schools, and we look at 6 areas. We look at teaching and learning. We look at support for student achievement, leadership capacity, professional capacity, planning and operational effectiveness, and families and community. So throughout the process, as Dr. Ellis referred to, we were in all schools and at the district level, and there are a few questions that we continually ask. What's the impact of that? How has that practice affected outcomes for students? So on the next slide, it shows our year of work in Nash County. Dr. Silver, who leads this process, started out with an orientation to the board. We sent 4-member teams to all schools in the district. They spent 2 days there. We conducted a week after that 2-day visit, a virtual bridge where a person in Jamie's role met with the principal and the school improvement team to review the summary bullets and align it to the school improvement process. And then Jamie, along with Althea Taylor, who both serve as diagnostic liaisons, stayed in contact with the principals to support them through the process and helping them to understand their report. Back in June, we came back. We met all together at the community college where we had our first day of unpacking. And then we split up and spent that second day in each school. And so there we re-explained the process. We looked at key evidence from the reports, and we were able to identify gaps. We looked at things like knowledge, skill, will, and capacity. Then we came back, we met at the district level. And so we were able to go through that report as well. Jamie and I both served on the team who did the district review. That was 2 days here at the central office with a series of interviews and looking at data. And here we are tonight, presenting a very high-level overview to you all as members of the local board. We have also provided resources to the district. I have mine right here. This is one of my favorite reports. It's a quick summary of the trends that were gathered based on all of the school reports. It also does a bit of analysis based on elementary level, middle school, and high school level. And then it gives some next steps for the district. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Jamie, who's going to talk about some of the results of the school level and district level CNA process.
Good evening, everyone. My car almost comes here like autopilot, directly here. I know where to eat, I know where to stay, and I know where to shop. So it feels sort of like coming back home. So it's a pleasure to be here this evening with you all. First thing I want to mention is with the comprehensive needs assessment. This is not a compliance-based assessment. This is an assessment that is done in schools through the lens of impact. So it's not that you're doing this one thing. What is the impact of that practice that you're doing? And that is really the focus of the comprehensive needs assessment. So on the slide that we have up right now, schools are assessed, as Dr. Martin mentioned, on a 6-dimension rubric, and she went over each of those dimension areas and receive a rating for each dimension. However, they do not receive a holistic score. It is based on the 6 dimensions with each receiving a rating. I want to speak to the ratings that are on the very bottom of the screen. You see lacking, emerging, embedded, leading. And I want to speak to that because I know the negative connotation that can be associated with the word lacking. We spend a great deal of time working with school teams to understand what that means. And we always use the plant analogy, like the first grade, second grade project when they put the soil and the seed in a little cup and stick it in the window. So you have everything there, but the plant hasn't started. You know, there's no little sprout yet. So it's just not having the impact yet. We're not seeing the growth yet. Emerging is when we have the little shoot that comes up. And so something's starting to happen. We have it to put it in school level, we have it in pockets in the school maybe. When we get to embedded, we have a nice, pretty green plant. That's when you're ready to take it home to mama kind of project. And finally, the leading is this flourishing plant where we can break it off, stick it in water to grow roots, and I can give it to my neighbor. I'm leading. I can share with them and they can reproduce it in their area. So that, I think, helps with the understanding because it is not intended to be. It's not evaluative, it's informative. So looking holistically at the 29 schools that were assessed in Nash Rocky Mount, you can see on our chart here that they were rated in each dimension. Dimension A1 is teaching and learning, and the focus in that dimension is really on high expectations for teachers and students and also curriculum and instructional alignment. For A1, 19 schools received a rating of lacking and 10 received emerging. Dimension A2 is support for student achievement, and that includes data analysis, instructional planning, and student support services. For A2, we had 18 receiving lacking, 10 schools with emerging, and 1 school with embedded. For Dimension B, we have leadership capacity, and that deals with strategic planning, mission, vision, distributed leadership, and the monitoring of instruction in schools. And for Dimension B, we had 20 schools receiving a lacking rating and 9 receiving emerging. C is professional capacity. That deals with teacher quality and experience, professional development, recruitment, and retention. And in C, in our 29 schools, we had 16 receiving lacking, 13 receiving emerging. And Dimension D is your planning and operations. So that's when you're talking about your resource allocation, your facilities, and your technology use. In D, we have 20 schools receiving a rating of lacking, 8 emerging, and 1 embedded. Finally is Dimension E, families and community, and that's about how we engage with families and communities in the school process. And in that, we had 19 receiving lacking and 10 receiving emerging. Next slide. Thank you. The implications, key findings, these are the strengths that came out in the district for the schools you see in the fall and spring of this past school year. One, we found ample instructional and SEL, social emotional resources in the schools, with many having a specific curriculum that they use in the schools. The second one, the facilities well-maintained and clean across the board. There are also structures to support staff collaboration that are already in place. Next slide, please. Opportunities that exist at the school level as a whole as trends. Leverage current instructional expectations. And this specifically references the instructional framework that exists, is current and in place, and has been in place. However, when we're looking at the impact of it, implementation of the instructional framework is primarily at a compliance level in many schools. Provide increased and more robust instructional monitoring, and that's referring to the whole cycle of observation, feedback, follow-up monitoring, just the entire cycle of the observation process with teachers. Building staff capacity in the components of the instructional framework and how to use data effectively. And finally, leverage existing structures to improve data analysis and resulting academic strategies and interventions. So there are PLCs in place. Data is talked about, it is pulled, it is used, it's very conversational. There are a lot of processes in place. However, in many places, that is not translating into differentiated practices and interventions. Next slide. Thank you. You're very good. So the district overview. So this is what the district does well. And we see many central office staff have served in principal roles, and that's very obviously very relevant to the work in schools to serve as leaders in that role. Leadership is providing platforms for formal stakeholder input. The district secures multiple funding streams to support early learning, behavior support, and student well-being. Consistent opportunities exist for school and district leadership to engage in professional dialogue. And there is a lot of high-quality technology within the district, including the infrastructure and staff available to support the upkeep and implementation of that tech. The next graphic, which you can go ahead and scroll through until it all comes up. Thank you. This is basically a high-level image of sort of a synthesizing the areas for the opportunities for growth and putting them into 5 big areas. So the areas are: the first, establish district-wide expectations; the second, support and evaluation of expectations; the third, restructure of the organizational chart; number 4, prioritizing low-performing schools; and the last, principals evaluation. And there's a further explanation on the next slide that goes into the opportunities the district has leveraging these areas. The first bullet, to establish and communicate expectations at all levels: students, teachers, administrators, district level staff. Couple support with evaluation processes to ensure accountability for the established expectations. Restructure the organizational chart to better align roles, responsibilities, and accountability structures. Ensure prioritized hiring, staffing, and support for your low-performing schools. And having superintendent take an active role in the evaluation of principals and their establishment as instructional leaders. Now, I can say that through ongoing conversations with the district, we know that some of these areas, some of these opportunities are already being addressed. And I'll hand it back over to Dr. Martin.
So we, as I said, we're partners in this. We've gone out and we have worked with all of the schools to talk about how can we translate what's in the report to actionable items in the school improvement plan. Those schools still have access to our diagnostic liaisons, both Jamie and Althea Taylor. And as Ms. Dancy Smith shared, if they have that as a part of their PD plan, they can reach out to them to get that extra support. Also, NC STAR, you're going to hear a lot about NC STAR as the vehicle we use to review school improvement plans. The district already has a training coming up, I believe, next week. I'll be back at that training on the 15th, where they will start to look at I believe Dr. Ellis has been working with my assistant director to talk about what are some goals of that training. What does he want accomplished at that training for the principals and the process managers that will attend. So we're in it to win it. We're partners with Nash County. So whatever is needed. In addition to the NC STAR training coming up next week, we also have a comprehensive support specialist who will be a part of that training that will be available to the district after that training is over. So it is about continued support. Next slide. Because we spent a lot of time in the school, we think that the voice of those that we're serving is important. And so what we did here, we took some of the feedback forms and actually we wanted to share some of the feedback that we received. The one in the middle really touched us. Somebody wrote, "Thank you for bringing back some light into my darkened tunnel." And just it just talked about the fact that nothing is insurmountable. With hard work, we can do whatever the goal is. That goal is attainable. And then another person wrote, "Felt like progress was possible." And so we just wanted to share that with you. We, the entire team, the diagnostic team is a team of 10 people. They were very well received in the district and in the schools. Next slide, please. The slide that we just left was a picture of us actually doing some of the unpacking. If you know anything about the unpacking process, we have an activity brown paper where people take that information from the report and start to work on their action plans and goals. And so those are just some pictures from us actually being out and doing that work. And so I believe I am turning it over to Dr. Ellis, who can also talk about some additional steps that the district has taken.
Tremaine, if you'll move forward on that next one and click on Cna Findings. So I'll go ahead and say this was a tough process for us. I told Dr. Martin, she asked me what was I going to do with my CNA, and I said, I think I burned it twice. But I told her that once you start kind of looking at what we're trying to fix, it all made a lot of sense. Each one of the district cabinet members is in charge of probably 3 or 4 schools in the unpacking. And that's some tough conversations when we went to schools and your leadership team, you point out, this is why you're not performing. And there were some conversations that we had to have, and there were some tough conversations. But you know, we had to have it out there. And what principals did was, if you show on that Cna Findings, is it? Oh, it had the link.
Yeah, I got the link.
You know, you're speaking Greek to me. But what it did was when principals, when we all sat down, we just started building a plan. So what you're going to see from this, and I'm not going to go over all this tonight, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this with the board to show them. Did I share it? There you go. All right, here you go. So what you'll see is that when we went in and did our brown bags and looked at all the data, what we did was we developed in our school board presentation, when you saw the retreat, that was some of the feedback we received from DPI. So we put that in our board retreat. So what I've done is we've linked everything that you'll see how we've changed from this unpacking for the district. Schools are doing the same thing. They had to address 3 to 4 issues. They're going to be putting their school improvement plans in the start. Those plans are going to come to the board October, possibly October. So you'll then get to see their plans. But at the leadership retreat with principals, what we did was we went over all the unpacking. And I believe Mr. Sharp, Dr. Washington was in that unpacking with us so they could see with all transparency what we were going to change. And Dr. Martin is right. There were a lot of things we were already changing that was in our plan. And the evaluation process was changing. We changed a lot of stuff already. But what it did was, and there's a timeline in there that I'm going to share. I'll share all this to you. It was a timeline of what we're trying to do here with goals. So when we were in closed session night talking about goals and my goals, our principals are going to have the same goals in their evaluation. So everything is linked together based on the needs and the findings that DPI gave to us. Because what we wanted to make sure is we're all on the same page, because that was one of the things we had an issue with, it was communication, trying to be on the same page. So everyone has the same goals. They're smart goals with numbers. So when we bring them to you, you're going to say, you said 5%, that's what we're going to show. So when you have this, the next one, if you scroll up, all this does is, and I'll send this out tomorrow, is nothing more than every question that DPI has raised with us, we've got a plan. And what you'll do is you can link all this. It talks about a walkthrough schedule where senior level cabinet will go into schools, walkthroughs, principals have to do walkthroughs, monitoring lesson plans. That was all the information we received. So what I did and what our team got together with DPI in our last meeting was, here's our list of stuff that we're going to do. So we went over it with DPI, and I'm assuming we got a clean bill of health, and we're going to move forward with this plan. So in our school improvement plan this year and our district plan, this is what it's going to be focused on. So you'll probably see some of the changes, but everything is just going to be aligned. And I think that's going to be a key for us, because when you do a comprehensive needs assessment, you find out that a lot of schools are on islands. And that's the worst thing that can happen. Because everybody's doing something different. And I've shared that with the board before. And if we can pull everybody together and be consistent with goals, objectives, action steps, then we're on the same page. So, you know, this was a tough process for us. I did it in another county, but I've never done it system-wide. And I tell you, I think Melissa Davis-Smith can tell you, it was tough. You have to sit back and just, you know, they're right. We need to do something about this. But what helps is we're gonna get better because of this. I mean, it is. We get better. So I'm looking forward to this year because we're all on the same page. And I think moving forward, this is what we need to do. So I just appreciate DPI for your efforts. And I know all we have to do is call you, and I thank you. But like I said, this is going to help us move forward. So thank you. And I'll share this with the links and everything, and you can kind of go through that. Separately.
Thank you.
Nick. Thank you, Dr. Ellis and team from DPI. The next item is item 10, Administrative Services and Operations Committee. First item is information only, Ms. Dale. Would you like to come just share real quickly what you present to the board and give us your summary?
You have, excuse me. Good evening. You have for information the end of the year budget amendments as approved by Dr. Ellis. And those items are for information only.
Sir,
Thank you as
we
well.
did review those. So the next item on the agenda is the sale of the old Rocky Mount Baseball Stadium. Mr. Davis.
Good evening. Baseball stadium, old baseball stadium in Rocky Mount. Just go through the main points. It's been a long process. Just to give a brief history, the baseball stadium was approved for surplus by the board in June of 2021 and was offered to Nash County Board of Commissioners for the right of first refusal per the general statutes. Nash County Commissioners did not wish to purchase the property, so the process was chosen by Nash County Board of Education to surplus the property and was voted to approve to use of the upset bid process. After 11 rounds of bidding, Nash County Holdings submitted a final bid of $110,352.50. The funds for this sale will be placed in unallocated fund balance for capital outlay. Superintendent recommends the sale of the old Rocky Mount Baseball Stadium to Nash County Holdings in the amount of $110,352.50 as presented.
Here, I'll make a motion to sell the baseball.
It's been properly moved by Mr. Lamb, seconded by Mr. Jenkins. Question or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Ayes carried. Thank you so very
Thank
much,
you.
Mr. Davis, for your outstanding work.
Thank you.
Next item is the Student Support Service, Dr. Washington.
The Student Support Services and Operations Committee did meet, and there were two items presented for information only. They were the behavior matrix and the safety surveys that have already began to go out.
Okay. Next item, Academic Services and Accountability Committee, Sharonda Bullock. She's not here, so we did have information by Mr. Chad regarding the CT monitoring. And we also need an action item. Information also was the school accountability by Melissa Dancy-Smith. But the action item we need to talk about tonight, we talk about alternatives, the alternate school accountability program model. There were some questions or discussions.
We approved that one. The other one is for research.
Which one? Where's the
Yeah,
research?
the research was, you just wanted some information on that
Right.
survey of some sort.
Okay,
The
so that's been approved. So I need a motion to actually accept the alternative school accountability model.
I make the motion that we approve the alternate school accountability model.
Second.
It's been probably moved by Dr. Washington and seconded. Who made the second? Ms. Gray. Question or discussions?
Just confirming that is that research.
No, it's not. It's
What is
the
it?
alternate model for Turn River. Item 3 is.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Any oppositions? Ayes carried. Next item is 13 Policy Committee. Ms. Buller's not here, so Ms. Lindsay will carry that for us.
Mr. Shaw, we still need to go back on and look at the request for research. You all asked them for some additional information, and I sent that to you.
Smell we got there. I don't see it.
It was removed from the agenda because it was not approved to come to the board.
Yeah.
In committee.
So you know what? I can't.
That was my question.
Thank you. I didn't, that's why it came to my mind. I thought about it too. So,
Just go back to committee and let those.
yeah, so question for. All right, so. Not fair, I appreciate the way you stare at me. He said, what's coming up next? So it has to go back. We can't just bring it to the full board now for approval. Okay. Try it. So we'll bring it back to the committee. So basically, we did review it, so. Next item is Policy Committee. Lindsay.
I'll turn this on so people can hear me. The policy committee met, and there are a number of policies that are for first reading for the board, that the board needs to vote on having these sit for a first reading. There are policies, updates from the School Boards Association. I will not go through each and every one of those, but they are on the agenda. There are edits to policy 2302, remote participation in board meetings, policy 7340, regarding employee dress and appearance, and then also amendments to policy 6125 and policy 5028, that have to do with AED, the automated external defibrillator, and student administration of medications. So those are the policies that are for the board to vote to approve for a first reading tonight.
Thank you. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved by Mr. Dutton, second by Mr. Edwards. Question or discussions?
Just as a member of the committee, so this doesn't, not to waste anyone's time, but so this doesn't just kind of get swept away. We did look at the, Mr. Lamb has brought up on occasion, the remote participation in board meetings, and I've got it pulled up if you would like for me to share. I know everyone's had a chance to take a look at it, but if it is a conversation that we have had, did we want to talk about it in a little bit more depth than just approving it at this time?
I'll leave it up to the discretion of the board. If anybody got a discussion they want to have conversations about, the floor is now open. Have that discussion.
I would like for Mr. Dunn to share a little bit of the meat of that if he would.
Yeah, so I'm just going to read it real quick, and it lists what is excusable absence. And it basically then says you can miss as many board or you can remotely participate in as many of board meetings for these reasons, but then 3 times a year, if it doesn't fit any of these reasons, which are very broad and cover a ton of ground, you still can miss or remotely participate in those meetings. Sorry, I keep saying miss. And the board can then even vote to give you additional waivers to participate remotely, but they are personal illness, disability, order of quarantine or isolation, or government issued stay-at-home mandate or recommendation of medical provider or public health officials to limit public interaction, out-of-town travel, unexpected lack of childcare, family member illness or emergency weather conditions, military service, employment obligations, a scheduling conflict, which what doesn't that cover? A state or local declaration of state of emergency that makes in-person attendance at a meeting a violation. So again, it then goes to say, except for the reasons set forth in subsection C1, no board member may participate remotely more than 3 times during a calendar year, and the board may agree to waive that limitation. So if you hit any of those, you can participate remotely, and even if you don't, you can do it 3 times a year.
12 meetings.
And would say, you know, if you needed that, if anyone felt like that needs to go back to the policy committee and us take a deeper dive at it, I think Ms. Bullock would be willing to do that, but that is how it sits today.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or discussions?
Ms. Sharp, before y'all vote, one quick comment that I neglected to mention before, and it may necessitate an amendment to the motion. The policy 7340 on the dress and appearance, my memory, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that the policy committee voted to send it to the full board with a recommendation that the 30-day requirement be waived. And so I think you'll need to vote on that policy separately. And so you may need to amend the motion to just to vote on for first reading to vote on policy. The policy number 1, the policy updates from the School Boards Association. Number 2, the remote participation in board meetings, and number 4, and then vote on number 3 separately.
Motion is amended to include policy updates, remote participation, and you said policy 161, 25, 50, 28, 61, 30, and 72, 67.
So that's the first motion.
And the second again.
So we need a second on that first motion. We need to vote on second. Questions or discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Ayes carried.
Now a motion for policy 7340 to waive the 30-day sitting requirement.
Is that your motion?
That is my, yep.
And the second.
It's been probably moved, Mr. Dunton, seconded by Mr. Edwards again. Question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye, please. Any opposition? Ayes carried. Anything else from the policy committee?
Sir?
So the next item is item number 14, Superintendent's Report.
So I just want to first thank the board for their support. I am honored to be here in Nash County. I mean, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But I'll be remiss if, you know, a contract, it is about me, but this group in here I work with every day just shows that the vision that we're putting forward and it's working. And it's not about me, it's about this group out here that I aggravate every day, and I know I do. So I just appreciate it. We are definitely moving forward, and we're going to become a high-performing district. So thank you for your support. All right. I did want to give a transportation update real quick, since that's a hot topic. We are short 8 drivers right now. Mr. Fair, if I start mumbling, let me know if I get these stats right. But I know we started with a full fleet, but it seemed like some things happened. We had some drivers that left. Well, we are short 8 drivers. We did something a little different this year. We did a staggered start. We also had an opt-in process where that was done in July, where for the first time, I believe parents opted in to ride a bus. That hadn't been done in a while, but that also cleaned routes for us, which is what we needed to do. In July, we had about 6,800 students already enrolled, which who had opted in, which is a big number for us. However, there was about 1,000 to 1,500 students that didn't. So right now, what's going on is we're still trying to put kids on buses who didn't opt in during that open house, during that July, and these kids are still trying to get buses. Right now, it's going to take about 4 to 5 days, Dr. Farrell, to really get them routed on a bus. And I tell that because if a bus has 46 kids and you add one and it's overflowed, you got to create another route. Just can't do it that way. So it's taken a while when you have these other ones that are opting in now. It's difficult. That's also caused challenges with traffic right now, because when you're talking about 1,000 more kids getting on buses, you're talking about cars and parking lots. So right now, after that 10-day count, we start the process of counting heads, which means if you don't show up on a bus, we take your name off. And then if we can merge routes, which decrease buses, that's what helps. That'll help us get a clean route run. That's going to take place, Dr. Farrell, starting probably Monday once we get all these names. So what's going to happen is we're going to have everyone who's assigned a bus Monday should have a bus. Then we count heads. So there's going to be another 10 days of trying to figure out who is actually riding buses. That right then is going to decrease some of the traffic. The majority of buses are getting where they need to be. The tougher areas right now would be Red Oak and Southern Nash. The city routes are a little bit easier to manage because they're short routes. You can bring them right back and go with another route. The southern end, it's a long travel. So I appreciate your patience. We're going to start putting some more communication out there. We did this week, but you can just tell slowly but surely it's starting to get a little better. So just allow us with those 10 days. We've got about 13 or 14 drivers that we think we can get into Hopper. However, right now, once you start pulling these routes in, decreasing those numbers in buses, that's what's going to help us. So I just wanted to give an update on transportation.
Can I interject for
Yes,
just a
sir.
second? You're asking for a little bit of tolerance, and I'm going, on behalf of the parents and the students and some of the principals as well, ask for a little bit of tolerance too, because a lot of these students that are affected are in big time classes. And so the principals are being held to a higher standard, especially now with the vision, the mission that the school's going in, and we need to up our scores. Well, these kids ain't getting to class. Excuse me. These kids are not getting to class in time. Excuse the ain't. Sorry, I'm from the South. Apologize.
I know the interpretation.
Thank you. Appreciate that. But provide a little bit of grace to the students, those parents, and those principals during this time. You're asking for tolerance. We'll provide it as long as you provide that tolerance to them as well, because right now, you know, the scores are a highlight. We're having to focus on these low performing schools. But if we can't get them to school, what are we doing?
Don't disagree.
All right. Thank you.
And I would hope that these 10 days principals are doing that anyway. I hope they wouldn't have to listen to me tell them that. There's got to be some ways where you give a little bit of take. If it's a 30-minute wait or whatever, that we can have some, because I wouldn't want,
Yeah, but also you're holding the principals accountable. So
Definitely.
but just be careful of that, knowing that the students aren't getting to class because of our buses. Thank you.
Gotcha. All right, that was me.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ellis. The next item on the agenda is chair's report. I just want to make a quick comment. I was navigated over the past week, the school start. It was phenomenal. I had an opportunity to visit from the southern end all the way in the, what's that little road that goes to Middlesex, that little, whatever the name of the little road was, got lost in there a couple of times, but hey, Middlesex and Bailey, all the way over into the city and every place else. The kids were so excited to be back in school. I mean, it was fun to see what they're doing. The teachers were excited. They're sitting in on some of the classrooms and getting engaged in the administration. Did a phenomenal job, as well as the bus drivers. I thought they did great. They catered to the needs of the students in the schools. And I salute them for that. To Dr. Farrell, please make sure we commend them for that. The custodial workers, I'm gonna tell you, if you have not been inside the school, you're doing yourself an injustice. It's our role and our responsibility to go inside those schools and not to take over the school, but just to show you support the school. So basically, the custodial workers, phenomenal. The schools were excellent. I have not seen them any cleaner. And we talked about some stuff earlier. We give this not a good name, but the cafeteria, phenomenal. The cafeteria managers, the folks that work in the cafeteria, these are people that feed our children prepare them for basically education. You can't learn, or it's hard to learn on an empty stomach. So they are phenomenally doing that with smiles and gratitudes and everything else. So Dr. Ellis, I would hope that, I know you have, because you know we've been inside those schools, that we just convey, when you walk in those schools, don't just go to the principal or to administration, go to the custodians. Those are people that keep, can go to the cafeteria workers. Those are people that, the bus drivers, and give them their thanks and appreciation. It's about getting them there, feeding them, and educating them. So thanks for that. Upcoming scheduled meeting, important dates, policy committee meeting on Tuesday, September 13th. The Monday, the 26th, we have the committee meetings, and October 3rd at 5 p.m. we have work session and board meeting at 6:30 on October 6th as well. Is there anything else that would hold this board attention? Mr. Lane?
Yeah, since Edgecombe County took it earlier this week, I would like our lawyer to research exactly what the law states and present to our school board exactly what the timeline is at our next meeting.
So let me talk real quickly to that. That is referring to the demerger side of it. Thank you, Mr. Level, for bringing that up. Of course, we do know that the Edgecombe County Commissioner decided to demerge on a vote of 5-1. I think that's what that count was. Right. So basically, we saw this was coming. It's been in the winds for a while now. So basically, I've asked Dr. Ellis about a year ago to start working in collaboration with the superintendent of Edgecombe and getting the meeting together with the two board chairs, just to look at how we can start assimilating this process to make it the transition smooth. And you know what? One of the persons that I would like to acknowledge is Miss Anna is, because her thing, she said, make the main thing the main thing. And that's about kids. It doesn't distinguish Edgecombe or Nash, it distinguishes kids. So our role is to make sure we have a smooth transition for that. I agree with Mr. Lamb. The folks, the Nash County Board of Education, Edgecombe County Board of Education don't make that decision, but we do have an input as far as how the transition goes. So Dr. Ellis, I would ask that you would continue to pursue that with the Edgecombe County Superintendent. And maybe we can set up, if we can set up a meeting with the four of us to have a discussion where we go from there. Good. Thank you, Mr. Lamb, for bringing that up. Any other thing that will hold this board's attention? If there's nothing else, I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been properly moved by Mr. Vincent, seconded by Dr. Chavis. All those in favor say aye. Aye.